sin, grace. Grace, don't take it out of context. Because who takes it out of context? Pharisees, narcissists. They always say, they say grace is not a license to sin, but they don't finish the rest of the paragraph. They take it out of context. Grace, the full paragraph is grace is not a license to sin, comma, grace is freedom from condemnation. That's the full paragraph. So, religion and religious spirit emphasizes so much on perfectionism and emphasizes so much on condemnation of sin. You see, if you want to stop sinning or leave bondage, you have to accept grace. But this idea of grace is not overnight, and it's not an instant fix. It's a continual, gradual journey / process to continually pour grace over yourself constantly. No matter how many times you sin, no matter how much you do the bondage or the temptation or constantly falling in sin, the solution, every time you sin, you drown your mind in grace. Because each time you sin, you don't accept condemnation of that. Each time you commit sin, you don't accept condemnation of it onto you. You accept grace. Any believer that puts condemnation on you must not really be a Christian to begin with. Because Romans chapter 7 and chapter 8 says it. So that's why I was like, a lot of believers that I met has always done this to me, where they show a lot of condemnation without the idea of grace. And I'm like wondering, how is it that they know the gospel, and yet that's why I was like, I wonder if these people that I met, maybe they're just religious and they're not truly saved. Yeah, I was actually thinking like about that. I was like, I wonder if those people actually understood about the knowledge of grace, how it works. So, it's called empowerment. That's what grace is. So here's the thing about grace. That's why it's very difficult to understand. So like, grace is not a license to sin. It's freedom from condemnation. Yeah. Once you if you think that, oh, we have grace, now we can freely sin and do whatever sin we want. Now we have a hall pass to sin. Well, that's not what grace is. So if you think like that, that's wrong. Yeah. But so grace is like every time. So here it is. The wrong idea of grace is like, oh, I'm a Christian, so now I can sin whatever I want to do. Let's watch the porn. Let's do the drugs. Let's get drunk every time. Let's sleep around. Because I can do whatever I want. Now, I can gamble. I can do whatever I want. Because I'm saved. And grace, because of grace, I have a license to do whatever I want. That's not grace. That's the wrong definition of grace. The correct definition of grace is when, oh, I'm saved. Yeah, and I want to follow what it means to be God's son or God's daughter. I want to bestly be that identity and demonstrate that identity because of who I am, because of whose I am. And then so as you're trying to do that, but you will sin. But each time you fall into it, you don't accept condemnation. You just think grace. Like, okay, God's giving me grace. I'm going to try again. Try again. Yeah, not to try again to be perfect, but try again to be a son or a daughter. That's what it means. You're not trying again to be perfect or like to be religiously perfect. You're trying again to tell yourself, I'm going to try again to think like a son. I'm going to try again to be like a son. I'm going to try again to have a heart as a son. That's what it means. And so when you're so the way to see it is like when you're going down this journey, imagine like you're running a race, a marathon. You're a runner in the marathon, in this long ultra marathon. It's like 600 miles, and you're running for 600 miles. And in this ultra marathon, it's crazy long, and it's like so many holes and pitfalls and alligators and sharks and whatever, and so there's these pitfalls and these canyons and all these bumpy things, obstacles in the road. Imagine this is sin and temptation, and you will hit it like you're hitting speed bumps in the road. You will encounter them. You will fall. And each time you sin, you are accepting grace for yourself, because you know what the grace is? The grace is like every time you fall into the sin, the grace is like the rope to climb out of the hole, and you're climbing back out, right? To go to do this ultra marathon, to continue the race, to get to the finish line. And then so the grace is the rope. You climb out of the hole, and you're telling yourself that, oh, I'm going to try again to run this race, because you're trying again to think like a son. You're not trying again to be perfect, to be religiously perfect. So the example is, you're not trying again to win first place in this ultra marathon. No, you're just trying to do it. You're trying to run in the way you know, by being who you are because of whose you are. Whose are you? You're God. It's God the Father. You're the son or the daughter if you're a girl. So this is the correct perspective to understand the concept of sin and grace. Yeah. So that's why you don't want to take that out of context. Grace is not a license to sin. Everyone says that. They always say that. They take that verse out of context, but they don't finish the rest of the paragraph. Yeah. That's why people who say that, they intentionally take it out of context to manipulate you and to guilt trip you and to throw shade on you, because they're trying to manipulate you. They're trying to make you feel bad about yourself. But until they finish the rest of the context of the paragraph, which makes full understanding, then it brings a lot of light to what it's actually saying. And so that's why I needed to explain this, so you understand what grace really is, because I think it's hard for people to understand it. You need someone to like explain it to you.